At around 8 a.m. on March 22, 2020, in a rental house near People's Hospital No. 1 in Yulin, Guangxi, China, a nurse living on the second floor discovered that the drainage pipe in her room was clogged. The landlord and a plumber came to inspect. When they dismantled the pipe, they were horrified to find pieces of human flesh mixed with sludge and water. A strong stench filled the air, sending chills down everyone's spine. The landlord immediately called the police. When the authorities arrived, they quickly sealed off the scene and collected tissue samples for examination. The results confirmed 2,368 tissue fragments, all belonged to a human. Faced with such a horrifying crime scene, the public questioned, what could have driven the perpetrator to commit such a gruesome act? Like and subscribe to our channel as we uncover the mystery behind this bizarre case. At around 10 a.m. on March 22, 2020, the police quickly inspected suspicious rooms. Upon reaching a rental unit on the third floor, they discovered a rice cooker in the corner containing human tissue and a black plastic bag with additional body parts. The landlord confirmed that the tenant of the third-floor apartment was a young woman named Li Fengping. Immediately, the police identified Li Fengping as the prime suspect in the case. That afternoon, at around 2 p.m., as the third-floor tenant was on her way home from work, she was suddenly apprehended by the police on the spot. Upon seeing the suspect, no one could believe their eyes. A petite young woman with a gentle face, slender figure, and a ponytail. However, behind this delicate appearance lay a horrifying truth. The suspect was Li Fengping, a nurse at People's Hospital No. 1 in Yulin. At the police station, she calmly confessed to all of her actions. She had murdered Luo Pang, the deputy head of the spinal surgery department at the hospital, then attempted to dispose of the body by dissolving it and flushing it down the drainage system. A few days earlier, the police had received a call from Luo Pang's wife, reporting that her husband had been missing for 2 days. So what was the relationship between Li Fengping and Luo Pang? Why did everything end in a gruesome murder? The answers would gradually unfold as the investigation continued. Li Fengping was born in 1995 into a poor family in a small village in Bobai County, Guangxi Province. Her family was among the poorest in the village, living in an old and simple house. Li Fengping was the eldest of 4 siblings, carrying many responsibilities, especially since her mother was terminally ill and unable to work. Her father, despite taking on various odd jobs to make a living, tried his best to save money so that his children could attend school. Despite financial difficulties, he always believed that education was the only way for his children to escape poverty. Li Fengping's father had to drop out of school due to extreme poverty, but since then, he was determined to ensure his children received a full education. Thanks to his sacrifices, none of his 4 children had to drop out, and Li Fengping was able to continue her studies despite the family's hardships. Besides Li Fengping, her second sister was also accepted into a teacher training college in Guangxi. Third sister and youngest brother both attended the best high school in the county. Li Fengping's father was very proud of raising successful children. From a young age, Li Fengping was diligent and hardworking, balancing school with part-time jobs. At times when her mother was seriously ill, Li took on the responsibility of caring for her siblings while maintaining top grades in her class. With such achievements, Li Fengping could have been admitted to the best high school in the county. However, due to financial constraints, her father decided she should attend a technical college, thinking it would take only 5 years to graduate. Whereas if she pursued a university degree, it would take at least 7 years before she could start working. Without opposing her father's decision, Li Fengping chose to study nursing, partly because she had experience caring for her mother from a young age. In 2017, Li Fengping graduated from Guangxi Medical University with excellent academic performance. Each semester, she received a 6,000 yuan scholarship from the Yolu Foundation. After graduating, Li Fengping quickly received job offers from 3 hospitals through her university's recruitment program. One hospital in Nanning, which offered the best career growth opportunities. Another in Liuzhou, which provided the highest salary. Finally, People's Hospital No. 1 in Yulin. While it wasn't known for high salaries or career advancement, it had one key advantage: proximity to her home. It was only a 2-hour taxi ride to Bobai County, where her mother was seriously ill, meaning she could easily visit and take care of her. After discussing with her father, Li Fengping chose People's Hospital No. 1 in Yulin, sacrificing a higher salary and better prospects to stay close to her family. However, life did not turn out as she expected. Apart from Lunar New Year, Li Fengping barely had time to visit home. She rented a small 30-square room in an alley behind the hospital. Although old, cramped, and deteriorated, with a rent of only 350 yuan per month, the room significantly reduced her living expenses. Initially, while working at the hospital, Li Fengping had to undergo a 3-year rotation training program. Every few months, she was transferred to a different department. Each time, she had to start over, performing the most basic tasks like a trainee nurse. Li Fengping's starting salary was very low, only around 2,000–3,000 yuan per month. Although it could increase to 7,000 to 8,000 yuan after a few years, there was no guarantee she wouldn't be transferred again and have to start from scratch. In June 2018, Li Fengping was assigned to the neonatal department before being transferred to the spinal surgery department. One night during her shift, while talking with Liu Moxia, Li Fengping was introduced to an online gambling game. Liu Moxia, the head nurse of the hospital, was the one who inadvertently introduced Li Fengping to gambling. Initially, Liu Moxia played the game just to earn some extra spending money, but the financial pressure of buying a house pushed her deeper into it. According to Liu Moxia, the game had a very simple playing mechanism. At first, Liu Moxia placed bets for fun, but once, she lost over 100 yuan in a single round. Realizing the dangers, she decided to stop. Soon after, she uninstalled the app and advised Li Fengping to play only for fun and not get too involved. No one expected that this casual suggestion would ultimately lead Li Fengping down the path of crime. This online lottery game did not require phone number registration or identity verification, allowing unlimited betting. Players could select numbers from 10 groups using Arabic numerals from 1 to 10 to place bets. Initially, the system deliberately allowed new players to win a few rounds, making them believe that it was an easy way to make money. In reality, the game was programmed to lure players into a losing cycle. This quickly trapped Li Fengping in a gambling addiction. At first, the betting amounts were only a few hundred yuan, but they quickly escalated to tens of thousands. There were days when Li Fengping lost hundreds of thousands of yuan in a single round. Despite this, she did not stop, always hoping that one big win would turn everything around. The largest amount of money Li Fengping won in a single day was 100,000 yuan. However, within a year, her 2 bank accounts had processed a total of 2.9 million yuan in transactions related to online gambling. This was an enormous sum for a nurse who had been working for less than 3 years. Gradually, the mounting debt became uncontrollable. She fell into despair, desperately seeking money by any means. At this moment, a terrifying plan began to take shape in her mind. Unwilling to accept defeat, Li Fengping came up with a bold idea: borrowing money to continue gambling. She believed that as long as she won big, all her debts would be erased. From then on, Li Fengping started borrowing money from everywhere, using her mother's illness as an excuse to ask colleagues for help. Thanks to her gentle appearance, she easily gained people's trust. At first, she borrowed only a few thousand yuan. Each time she received her salary, she repaid part of her debt, making people trust her even more and willingly lend her more money. Gradually, the borrowing frequency increased and the amounts grew larger, turning her colleagues into an endless source of funds. In July 2019, Li Fengping secured a loan of 300,000 yuan from the Bank of China through a financial aid program for medical staff in Yulin City. However, this amount was still not enough. She continued borrowing from colleagues with various excuses, from medical expenses for her mother to marriage and house purchases. Even when senior nurses started to suspect and outright refused, Li Fengping did not stop. On the contrary, some younger nurses who had a close relationship with her were still willing to help without hesitation. Some colleagues even recklessly used their own personal information to take out loans of 300,000 yuan each for Li Fengping. Despite drowning in debt, Li Fengping never sought help from her family. When loans from colleagues were no longer sufficient, she turned to online lending platforms, despite most of them charging illegally high interest rates of up to 36% per year. Within just 6 months, Li Fengping's bank account was flooded with loans from numerous different platforms. Li Fengping gradually became two completely opposite people. On one hand, every day she gambled away hundreds of thousands of yuan, or even more, on online betting games. On the other hand, her personal life was extremely frugal. She continued living in an old rented room for just 350 yuan per month, in poor and harsh conditions. Even when she wanted to buy a refrigerator, Li Fengping hesitated for a long time, debating whether she should buy it or not. In the end, she only dared to order a refrigerator worth a few hundred yuan on Taobao. By October 2019, Li Fengping had fallen into deep despair, burdened with insurmountable debt and no way out. In the end, she had no choice but to approach Luo Pang, a 51-year-old deputy head of spinal surgery, to borrow money. Luo Pang was married, living with his wife and a daughter who was in high school. He was very wealthy and drove a BMW SUV to the hospital every day. When Li Fengping asked for help, Luo Pang agreed to lend her money. However, he imposed a condition in return. They then arranged to meet at a luxury hotel near the hospital. For Li Fengping, this was the fateful day that changed her life forever. As she entered the room, she was shocked to see Luo Pang wearing only a pair of shorts. Stunned, she immediately turned to leave. However, Luo Pang did not let her leave. Under his coercion, she had no choice but to comply. The next morning, Luo Pang handed her 50,000 yuan. From October 2019 to February 2020, Luo Pang and Li Fengping met 13 times. After each meeting, Luo Pang would transfer money to Li Fengping. By March 2020, the total amount she had received had reached 200,000 yuan. However, the humiliation remained deeply imprinted in Li Fengping's mind. Yet, Luo Pang was still not satisfied. He constantly threatened her. "Do you think you can escape from me? I have connections in security agencies and the prosecution office. If you dare report to the police, I won't let you go." At first, Li Fengping felt helpless, fearing both revenge and the possibility of her family being implicated. But as her desperation grew, she began to consider ending her life. Li Fengping attempted suicide 3 times, but each time she failed. The first time, she prescribed herself 100 sleeping pills. She had long suffered from chronic insomnia, sleeping only 3 to 4 hours a day. That day, she swallowed 80 pills, but instead of slipping into a critical state, she only experienced severe vomiting. The second time, she left the gas valve open all night, but it did not work. And the third time, she took advantage of her job, stealing 2 vials of insulin from the hospital and injecting herself with 800 units. Yet, even death turned its back on Li Fengping. She continued sinking into despair and hopelessness. In March 2020, due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, hotels stopped accepting guests. Luo Pang demanded that Li Fengping rent an apartment near the hospital for their meetings, promising to cover all expenses. Li Fengping had no other choice but to comply. On the night of March 20th, Luo Pang arrived at the apartment in a drunken state. As soon as he stepped through the door, he immediately undressed and ordered Li Fengping to serve him. However, at that moment, Li Fengping was engrossed in online gambling and did not want to pay attention to him. She continuously made excuses, saying she had not eaten or had not taken a shower. This angered Luo Pang. He began insulting her with harsh and degrading words. After a while of berating her, Luo Pang fell asleep, his loud snoring echoing in the silent room. At that moment, Li Fengping sat quietly on the edge of the bed, clenching her hands tightly, her whole body trembling as she suppressed her fury. Humiliating memories flooded back, and her hatred reached its peak. In a fit of rage, Li Fengping opened her phone and typed into the search bar, "What to do if you hate someone?" Instantly, a chilling suggestion appeared in the search results: make them disappear. At around 1 a.m., Li Fengping grabbed a computer cable and slowly walked towards the bed. She looped the cable around Luo Pang's neck. Luo Peng woke up in shock and struggled fiercely. A few minutes later, Luo Peng's body gradually became motionless. Seeing this, Li Fengping trembled as she touched his carotid artery to check for a pulse and found no response. By instinct, she hurriedly tried to perform CPR, but it was useless. Luo Peng was dead. At that moment, Li Fengping panicked, realizing she was in deep trouble. But shortly after, she regained her composure, unlocked Luo Peng's phone using his fingerprint, and transferred 98,000 yuan to her account. However, in an instant, most of the money was deducted by the online loan system, leaving only 900 yuan. Still unable to accept failure, Li Fengping desperately tried every possible way to take all of Luo Peng's money. She took half-body photos of Luo Peng, his bank card, and his ID card, intending to use the information to borrow more money. Before dawn, Li Fengping continuously searched for ways to completely destroy evidence, as well as how to transfer ownership of a car and health insurance without being detected. By 8 a.m. on March 21st, after committing the crime, Li Fengping did not panic or attempt to flee. She calmly dressed neatly and went to work at the hospital as if nothing had happened. Around 6 p.m., Li Fengping returned to the rented apartment and began processing Luo Peng's body. The process lasted 20 hours from 8 p.m. to 5 p.m. the next day. She spent over 2,000 yuan on tools. What happened in that rented room was truly gruesome and unimaginably cruel. During that time, Li Fengping also returned to her old apartment to retrieve clothes, discard her stained white shoes, and search Luo Peng's car for a loan document she had written. However, she could not find any documents because they were stored in Luo Peng's office cabinet. Later, a nurse from the spinal surgery department discovered the loan documents. To buy time and avoid suspicion, Li Fengping even pretended to be the victim, using Luo Peng's phone to text his wife. When his wife asked why he had not come home for days, she replied that Luo Peng was busy performing surgery in the suburbs. That night, when Luo Peng's wife called, she even texted back, saying he was drunk and did not want to answer. However, by the night of March 26th, feeling uneasy, Luo Peng's wife decided to call the hospital to check her husband's schedule. She quickly discovered that her husband had no scheduled surgeries in recent days. Sensing something was wrong, she immediately reported it to the police, leading to an investigation that soon revealed the horrifying truth behind Luo Peng's mysterious disappearance. Police launched an investigation, reviewed security camera footage, and discovered that the victim had entered Li Fengping's home before disappearing. Li Fengping was arrested and confessed to the murder. When her father heard the news of his daughter's crime, he collapsed, unable to believe the truth. Trembling, he said, "Just 1 year. How could just 1 year destroy my daughter like this? What has she become?" On October 30th, 2020, the Intermediate People's Court of Yulin sentenced Li Fengping to death for murder and theft. She was not granted any sentence reduction due to the exceptionally cruel and premeditated nature of her crime. Li Fengping's case was not just a simple crime, but a reflection of a troubling social issue. From a poor girl full of ambition, Li Fengping suddenly became a gambling addict, dragged into an abyss. Luo Peng's family expressed sorrow, but felt some relief, knowing that justice had been served. Thank you for following this story. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel to stay updated on more shocking and mysterious cases. Remember, no matter how terrifying the truth is, it must be told so that justice is always upheld.